everybody, my name is Beth Revis and I'm the author of the young adult science fiction novel Across the Universe, and today my vlog for WriteOnCon is about failure. That's right, failure. Now, it may seem kind of weird for somebody whose first book debuted on the New York Times bestseller list to talk about failure. And I'm not going to lie, being on the New York Times bestseller list was pretty freaking awesome. But here's the thing that a lot of people don't realize. Even though my first published book did really, really well, I had a whole lot of unpublished books before that. And that's why today I'm talking about failure. Because if anybody knows failure, it's me. I wanted to give you all an idea of what I mean when I say failure. What I mean when I say failure is all of these pages. Oh, look, it keeps going. It never ends. This is all of the manuscripts that I wrote before I wrote Across the Universe, and not a single one of them are published at all. That, my friends, is a lot of pages. They just keep going and going and going. There's the whole stack. Oh, it doesn't look any better that way. Extreme close-up, it still doesn't look good. Ah, that's a lot of fail. Here's the thing, I treated every single book as if it were the one. For example, with this novel, you can see I have like whole pages crossed out and then notes that I wrote on notebook paper of scenes to add in. This is all one manuscript. I'm going to give you a side look so you can see how big it is. But this whole thing, I thought this one was the one too. This is the one I wrote before I wrote the other one I thought would be the one. But it's still not. And even though I keep thinking it is, it's just not. Now here's the thing about this giant pile of fail you have before you. I didn't think any of these novels were fail when I wrote them. I thought they were all really, really good, and I totally expected every single one of them to get published. Take a look at, if I can get to it, this giant stack of papers here. This is 2 drafts of one novel. And you can see throughout it that I did things like I color-coded, I edited really carefully. There's whole pages that are crossed out. But every single one of these pages was part of a book that I thought was going to get published. I thought this was the one. And it obviously wasn't. And you know what? It doesn't really get easier. Everyone says, oh, don't worry, it'll get so easier. But they are lying to your face. This is the first draft I wrote of A Million Suns, which is the sequel to Across the Universe. And you can see, like, I mean, pretty significant draft. That's some thick pages right there. There are, see, oh, and by the way, this is all totally printed in front and back. But there are close to, over 300 pages here of the first draft of Across the Universe. I wrote this, and then you can see sometimes there's red where I edited it. And then I sent this out to friends, and then I wrote the next draft, which is here. And in it, I had all their comments that they wrote, and I went through the whole thing, and you can see that I have Post-it notes this time. I've upgraded. But all of this is pretty much brand new words of what I wrote. There's a few things that made it to the end, but not that many. And then after that, I sent it to my editor. And from my editor, let me move these around so you can see. I wrote a whole legal pad's worth of notes. These are all my edit letter right there. And then I wrote handwritten notes of everything that I needed to do. And it pretty much takes up most of this legal pad. All this in pink, all the green notes. That's all the notes I took. And then from those notes, I wrote this whole other version. So that was 3 complete drafts. And almost all of this is the same. Roughly 10 or 20% lasted from the first book to the last. And so if you stack up all the drafts that I wrote, all 3 of those massive drafts, the end result is that one little book. So all of that fail before I could get this one success right here. Every time I wrote a manuscript, and I wrote 1 manuscript a year for 10 years. So for each of those 10 manuscripts that never sold, I thought every single one of them would be the one, and they weren't. And they're still not. They're still not going to be published. If you'd asked me 10 years ago if it was worth it, I think I might have said no. But the thing is, now it actually really is worth it. Now I can look at those huge stacks of manuscripts and realize that even though none of them were published, they were all practice. Every one of them got me closer to this and to this. And that's what it's all about. That's what makes it worth it. My name is Beth Revis, and this vlog is not about failure at all. It doesn't matter if it gets published or not. Yes, it would be great if it was published. But actually, the most important thing isn't the shiny hardback that you get at the end of the job. The most important thing is that you did the job. The most important thing is that you actually wrote, and you tried, and you thought it was the one, and you worked to make it the one. When it's not the one, at least you tried. Because every single manuscript you write is success. My name is Beth Revis, and this vlog is about success.